Whew. Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy Sunday. I was working a little bit on my portfolio site. Just some cleanup. I've been wanting to code quite a bit, so doing some of that. Enjoying that code life. And the idea came to me that I miss doing like little small projects. Like when I did the console log thing last week, that's like a little small project, like a 10, 15, no longer than like 30-minute project. Like build a modal might be a nice little project. But I'm very much interested in ideas for that if anybody has anything they want to see. Not super big projects, small projects. Yeah, they're wrestling. They're wrestling. That's how we call it in Florida. Wrestling. So they've been hyper all day. So doing for a walk this morning with Gator. They're just wrestling, for the record. No wrestles. So yeah, I was thinking yeah. I don't know. But I thought I'd take some ideas if anybody has anything that they want. Something. Product ideas, basic HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Could be like a component for Angular, React, something like that. Build a modal. Like, I don't know. Doesn't really matter to me. So, by the way, did you see the latest Attack on Titan episode? It didn't pop off as much as I thought it was going to, but the next episode pop off. And that would not to say it wasn't a bad episode. Thing that track how many hours you study code. How would we do that? You could create a branch that you push to when you start and when you end. Different animations as you scroll. I don't actually know that. I would imagine that there's a breakpoint of a certain amount of pixels that you hit. It slows down the scroll and then it loads in animations from the side. That'd be my imagination. I don't know. Opinions about Tailwind CS? I mean, isn't it just a CSS library? I mean, I mean, it's just a CSS library. I'm looking at it right now. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't have any problem with it other than the fact that most people are going to use it. Will never. My problem with CSS libraries like Bootstrap and Tailwind for this at first glance is that at the end of the day, it handicaps most developers. And that's not to say they don't have value and whatnot, but the majority of software engineers that work in the front end won't ever actually understand CSS because they've never built something with CSS. Hey, crazy eyes. You don't want this smoke, girl. You do not want the smoke. You don't want it, girl. You don't want the smoke, girl. Get her, get her. These dogs are hyped, man. I don't know. Hyped. But that's been my issue with a lot of CSS libraries. Like, didn't I have a big whiteboard? Dude, I sold all the things. Literally. I don't think y'all know when I had my mental breakdown how I sold everything. All the things. How you been? Good, man. That's why I'm here, Andrew Rico. I'm here to answer your questions. I don't say that sarcastically. That's literally why I'm here. Why I do the live streams. As well as, like, I don't have anything else to do. Say hi. One second. I left my phone out there, and it's da-dinging. Da-dinging. I have done atomic CSS before, which is more of a design pattern and structure of your CSS. I thought it was okay. I mean, I didn't really think. I didn't really think it was anything mind blowing. I mean, it's a great place to start. You know what I'm thinking about doing is a file and folder structure course. Why was React able to surpass Angular in the market share? So I think a couple of reasons. So one, boot camps picked it up. Boot camps liked it because it's faster to learn because it's less structured. So if there's less to learn, it's faster to learn, whether it makes you a better dev or not. The other thing is TypeScript was added to the Angular, which at the time when Angular 2 came out was sort of a very aggressive move. It's also one of the reasons I think TypeScript's been picked up so aggressively. And three, I think developers don't like to be handicapped in the sense of like they don't like restriction, and React is. I don't like React because I think it's one of those items where it has allowed developers to butcher code bases. but that's also what people like about it. Do you think CSS libraries are good for contractors that work on multiple projects and want a quick turnaround? I mean, again, I have no problem with you using CSS libraries if it makes sense. My point is, very few people go and learn CSS. They just jump into Bootstrap. They never learn front-end development, responsive design, mobile first. None of these things that are very fundamental, basic CSS properties. And they suffer for it quite a bit. Thoughts for participating. I look kind of crazy right now. I just like look at myself in the camera. I think it's because I haven't washed my hair in a couple days. I also got up at 5:30 today. I woke up. I started kissing a girl on the forehead that I was dating. I was like, "Hey, I'm getting up." I just got up, started working at 5:30 this morning. And then I put in work. I was so productive this morning. I just woke up early. I added a video to the clean code course. I wrapped up some updates to the I wrapped up some introduction unit testing stuff. I did some videos, a whole bunch of stuff. CSS libraries do muddy up the HTML. Absolutely. I have this pattern that I want to do a paper about and one day present at a conference about the single selector pattern and utilizing Sass and mixins so that you only ever have one selector on your elements, but use mixins to provide those what would be considered common classes. By butcher code bases, are you referring to lack of structure React projects have, like tons of libraries? Yeah, there's a couple things. One, I personally think JSX is fundamentally flawed. I think the idea of muddying your styles, your HTML and your JavaScript into one component typically is a very poor decision. I think it's always been a poor decision. And I think it's been one of the major points of React's failure, in my opinion. This is going to be a very opinionated opinion. I also think that the selling of React as a library is a myth. So, and not a framework. When you architect your whole project around a library, guess what? It's a framework as far as I'm considered. And when you have other libraries that are the de facto standard maintained by other people, it's also a framework. React, in my personal opinion, is for junior developers that don't want to learn higher level things. That's my personal opinion about React. So React is the hack and slash of frameworks. That's my stance on it. It's not that it's horrible. It's just that there are better ways of doing things. And I think the fact that you see people see React as a library changing as much. Like people like to joke like, oh, Angular changes so much, this or that, right? Angular really hasn't changed much since like version 2. Every time I look at how you're supposed to build a React application between class-based components, styled components, functional components, hooks, literally every version is a different way of styling up. So you go in a code base that you've been working on for a couple of years. Different parts of that code base look completely different because the people who are building it are making poor decisions, in my opinion, because they've taken this stance that everything is connected, thus they can't be separated. And it's a flawed system. There's a reason we don't do inline styles in basic HTML and CSS. And there's a reason we have style sheets and not just HTML with style tags. And there's a reason we have Java, we have JS pages and not just script tags, style tags in an HTML. React has, the people who have been designing React have gone back in time. They have gone back in time and repeated the mistakes of the past in a way. It's very similar in a weird way to the Apple approach of moving forward by removing features. So like, in the sense anyhow, that's my stance on React. Is it better than jQuery? Yeah. Is it worse than Angular? In my opinion, yes. Is it worse than Vue? In my opinion, yes. But that's my stance. While working it, sure. Do I think you'll be a better or worse developer working in React versus other frameworks? I think you'll be a worse developer working in React. I think if you worked in the other two major frameworks, that you'd probably learn some better practices and standards. It's just a cowboy framework as far as I'm concerned, and it teaches, and that's to say that you can't write good React and bad React. I just think, generally speaking, there's better ways of doing things. So let's see here. You can use external APIs or your own APIs. How do I like Amazon? I have nothing but great things to say, man. I'm in the honeymoon phase, baby. We're a month in, just finished my first month. Am I planning on relocating? Yes, when the time comes. It's been kind of not a lot of details around that right now, so I don't know when, where, if I'll continually work from home till when and whatnot. So we'll see all that. That's sort of a conversation for a couple months from now. What new tutorials or new video segments are you planning on your channel? I have a couple announcement videos, but besides that, nothing too crazy. If you have something you want me to build, something small, share it. At work, we use Angular, but in my personal time, I use React and have been noticing it's just messy compared to Angular. Yeah. You know what's great about Angular versus React is that you can go into an Angular app and you know how an Angular app is going to work. You know what dependencies it's going to have for the most part. All the major ones. You go into a React app, it's a little bit more of a Wild West. It's whatever dependencies that project has. Not that React project, but what that project has. You go to Angular app, it's what dependency Angular has. And that to me means it slows your developers from ramping up. It slows your developers from having a consistent code base, understanding the code base. There's a lot of downsides with that. My college courses start tomorrow. I'm finally feeling like I'm making up for the biggest mistake of my life, not finishing college. Got any advice for a 2-time dropout to a 1-time dropout? Well, diabetic manatee, if I was to give you my advice, if you're working full-time, go part-time and just do a consistent way there. I find it really helpful to have whiteboards with goals on them and like tasks, and I cross them out. That'd be my advice. How do you break out a start-stop habit with coding? You just got to mature. You got to hit your rock bottom and say enough is enough. That's probably the best way that you can go about it. For crud practice. Hey man, starting my new job tomorrow. Feeling a little bit of self-doubt, even with 3 years of experience. You still get with this new jobs? A little bit, not really anymore. I would say probably the first like 2 weeks of Amazon, I was a little nervous, and I really have to say I'm very grateful to the teammates that I've had that have made me feel very much so at home. If I had questions, they answered them. Everyone's been very friendly and nice. Um, so it's been one of those items that it's been one of those things that's helped me. So what I would say is just put in the time, put in the effort. Understand that self-doubt and just being nervous about opportunity that you're starting, it's like anything else, man. If it's unfamiliar, then you're gonna have some apprehension. It's not always self-doubt. Um, um, this settles it for review. If React is bad, why is it in Scrimba? You asked my opinion. So also you have to understand, like, I, I'm a senior front end engineer at a FANG company, right? Okay. Although I've only been there for a month. So my opinion about high level front end development is going to be different than a junior, a mid, or a senior in general. And the reason I say that is just because I think, based on the skill level that I'm at, that Angular is better for most developers. Doesn't mean other people agree. I think React's easier to pick up. I think it causes you bad habits also. So React is more popular, thus they teach it. Impressive first projects. It's not really about impressive. You have one project's enough. I like progressive web apps. I like something that's bleeding edge, uses APIs, like not actual APIs, but APIs are good. But like HTML browser APIs. Something different. Gator, Gator, stop licking her ears. Gator, knock it off, baby boy. This guy kicked my internet out. Not my internet, my power out when I was live streaming this weekend. I was working on some projects. By the way, for those of you who are following the 100 algorithm challenge, I fully updated the code base for the 100 algorithm challenge and added some new videos to there so that there's unit tests for everything. So pretty cool stuff, if you ask me. So hey, handsome, you're a pretty boy. Yeah. Okay, chill. Fucking crazy eyes over here. So I updated the whole thing, which, by the way, yeah, it's just wasn't an easy task, man. Just because it's like every time you update 100 of anything, it takes forever. Promise challenges? I really should just go make an asynchronous JavaScript course. Gator. Gator out. Come on, you already knocked out my Gator out. What? But anyhow, so that's my stance on React. It's definitely something you can work in. It's very popular. But just because something's popular doesn't mean it's the best. You know, it's also popular? Not writing clean code. You know, it's also popular? Being a junior level engineer at 10 years experience. You know, it's also popular? Not understanding CSS because all you've ever done is bootstrap Tailwind CSS or some other, CSS library. It's also very popular not to do testing. Would I recommend any of those things? No. So don't always think popularity is always what's best for you. You know, it's popular also living paycheck to paycheck. Living paycheck to paycheck is very popular. It's very, very, very popular. Working till the day you die, super popular. All these things are very, very popular. Wouldn't recommend them. Not dieting or exercising, super popular. Probably not best for your health. So there's a lot of things that are popular that you can do. It's not gonna be the end of your life, end of the world. But would I recommend them? No. I feel attacked. Listen, man, I'm not trying to attack you. I'm trying to make a point that popularity isn't always what's best for you. One thing I think we have to learn is that you can be in the minority and be correct. I mean, there's certain things that I'll listen to arguments about and be open-minded about. But even if I'm the only person in there that thinks the thing, if I know I'm right, it doesn't matter if I'm outnumbered or that I don't have the popular opinion. I have the right opinion. And it may not be popular. And that's okay. It's okay. It's okay to be the minority in things and go up against the majority in some of these items. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We can still be friends. Like, we can still be colleagues. We can still talk respectfully. Gator, no. Sorry, buddy. You keep knocking my power out, dude. I don't care if I'm not live streaming. Do you think this is problems front-end dev culture in general? I think that's part of it. I also think it's part of software organizations. I think it's a top-down thing. But also, yeah, I mean, I those are the two things. I think it's a industry thing. I also think it's a I think software engineering from its get-go has been cowboy it up, baby. Like that's what we're about. We are cowboys. Hop on and ride on. Like saddle, no saddle. We do it. We build shit in garages, right? Like that's the software mentality, right? Open source, didn't build it, gonna use it, so it's impacted other parts of our industry. But as the industry has matured, my hope is that these things go and they get bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's my hope. Do I still use Discord? I use Discord. I don't really have a Discord server anymore. I'm sure it's there. I just don't use it ever. What error have you spent days on that took you? That only seemed to be a simple issue. I'm sure there's a few. This Webpack config issue I was having a while back. That was configuration's always a pain. always a pain. I worked on a project where they overrode the company's custom CSS framework. And so when I had to update it, I had to update app wide. And it wasn't that, it was a lot of changes. There wasn't a lot of complexity, but just everything was hacked, dude. It was that was rough. I don't know. I try to forget those things, man. Is there a lot of framework magic with Angular compared to React where the majority of it is just plain old JavaScript? Not really. I mean, in my opinion, Angular, if you look at class-based components in React and Angular, they're very similar. No, you have some basic logic, a for loop and an if statement in your template. And Angular is just classes with your JavaScript code. There's honestly not too many structural directives. And it's not that hard to remember. What do you think ngIf does? If I put ngIf false on a div, are you going to have trouble like, hey, man, what's that thing that if it's not true, it doesn't build in Angular? ng4. These are hard things to remember, man. If and for loops, like, I think a lot of it is just people looking for issues. That's just me, though. Conditional running with JSX looks like PHP code from 2003. Like I told you, they went in the past. Okay, so there's this thing that like startups have done where they go and they try and solve issues with previous solutions that people haven't done, or they try and solve problems that weren't problems. And I feel like React did that in certain aspects, where they created a framework. That's right, I said it. And they created a framework where they just wanted it to be different. So that's not to say these guys aren't brilliant who developed it. I just disagree. And I think if you build a framework in such a way that you're expecting junior engineers to program like super senior engineers, then what you're giving to a good community, to the dev community, which probably fall into the junior, let's say 80 to 90% of people fall into that junior to mid-level. That you built something for that maybe 10% of people can use properly, then what you have built is something fundamentally flawed. And the problem, I've worked with a lot of brilliant people in various teams, and the problem with working with brilliant people is naturally we all have egos, but brilliant people would rather fight. A lot of brilliant people would rather fight for their wrong argument to be right than to implement a solution that isn't theirs. And so it would not at all surprise me if a lot of these brilliant developers who are working on React, it's not even it is kind of an ego thing, but it's more of a they'd rather fight and win by exhausting you rather than winning the argument, where it's not about the best solution. It's about exhausting the competition so that like you just don't even want to debate about it anymore. And you're like, whatever, fuck it, I don't care. Put HTML and inline styling in JSX. I don't care. Like just do it. And that's how it got started, right? And then you fight this battle for, 5 years where every 6 months you're rewriting stuff, and it's no better. So anyhow, so I'm not a fan. Uh, I can work on it. It's fine. I don't care. I think there's better ways of doing things. I also think that there's a lot of downsides to it. So, how often do you work with promises on the job? Every day. How do you think you do asynchronous code, man? Is becoming a digital nomad a meme slash oversaturated? Um, I mean, I've been working remotely for like, God, a year and 8 months, something like that. Um, don't want to change the topic. Just curious. I didn't see your first message, Kevin. So if you could share it again, man. But yeah, so I was doing some traveling when I was working remote before the pandemic, and it's fantastic. I had a house and everything. I wasn't like on the road, but I'd go to a place for a week or two, take off for a week or two, and it's great. I'd recommend it to everybody. Would I build components in SAS or Vue for practice? I mean, will I use SAS when I build components? Yeah, I like the SAS or less. I usually use SAS just because that's what I'm familiar with, but they're pretty much the same thing. Opinion on more than one page resumes, especially after you have a long work history. I'm a big fan of it because recruiters have told me that they're a big fan of it. So I used a one page resume for a very long time until this last job, last two jobs. And that was when a recruiter said, "You're hurting yourself because you have way more experience than the other candidates and you have more unique experience." So, like right now, if I go on my Novo resume, shout out to them. I love those guys. I go to my documents, my resume has all my contact information, has technical skills. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 relevant work experiences. It has 6 personal projects that are, it's actually closer to 20 personal projects. They're just 6 groups. It has 6 certificates. It has 4 achievements. It has 2 things of volunteer experience. It has education. It has a couple of references, and it's about 4 pages. Normally it's 3 though, but I recently just, um, started updating it for all this. I try to keep it updated. Have I tried TopTal for that? Where is that? No. I have not played around with WSL2. I don't even know what that is. Do you ever see common advice being given to junior devs that you think is total BS? Yeah. I've heard a couple times people saying to work your way up a company. But I think that's flawed. I think oftentimes the opportunities you get early at your career aren't as good as the opportunities to you a couple years later. Have I programmed anything for VR? Nope. I'd like to. I don't think VR is here to stay, though. I don't think VR is ever going to blow up. Until they can make it so that I can have a pair of glasses and it's affordable. But like even what's in VR, it's just games and like I don't know. If you fumble talking about your projects, why don't you practice? Do you have a friend, mentor? You do it with me, but it costs you money. So, but do you have someone that you could go and they would tell you where you. What are you doing over there? Thanks, friend. You're welcome, Master of the Mesh. I'm here to help, dog. I am here to help. Ugh, that's a hard question to answer, Bishop, but generally the answer I give is I dropped out of school and I started working at a tech company. I saw a student information system company to be specific, and I studied for 8 months and I got a job offer and I was out here by 9 months. So for a backend role, you should understand probably RESTful APIs, and you don't necessarily need how to build them, but really just the flow. How's fitness journey going? Good, man. Although I put on a little bit of weight, homegirl and I've been eating out quite a bit. I told her like, listen, if we keep eating out like this, you just have to be okay with me being moderately chubby. She's like, you're fine. I was like, all right. It's hard though, because she's 24, about to be 25, and she's training for a half marathon. So it's like, bro, I ain't keeping up. Like, I gotta step my game up in terms of my wit and making her laugh. I'm not keeping up with a half marathon. I did say I'd do one with her later on. So I did front end way more complex than back end, but the popular narrative seems to be the opposite. Yeah. But what did we say about majority and minority earlier? A lot of those back end devs don't like working in the front end because they can't do it properly. Do you know how many back end devs I've had to help? I've had to help to float something to the right or left of the page or to bold something. Like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's their specialty. They've had to help me in the back end. But my point being is that there's more complexity in the front end than there's ever been before. And there's no stopping that. And even some of the server side stuff, it's all like JavaScript rendered nowadays. So yeah, it seems like some, not all, backend devs look at front end development as child's play. It just all depends on what it is you're trying to do. A lot of logic has moved to the front end. And complexity and things like service workers have been added, client-side caching. Front end has been evolving. I'm about 170 right now at 6 foot. So we're about the same. The lowest I got down to was about 163. And I didn't think I looked like I was starving. I thought I looked good. I feel this coming back though. Like there's an extra oomph right here. An extra. You see that? Can you see that jiggle? After I use the massage chair behind me. I haven't been using it a lot lately because my mom bought me this foot massager and this thing's fire. But I've also been out of the house a little bit more. But typically I use it about 3-4 times a week. Was it worth the cash? I mean, it was only about $800, I think it was. So, I've had a better one that I paid $600 for, so it's all right. Ain't worth the cash is all relative, right? Like I spent $3,000 on my bedroom set. Could I have spent $500 and had something that was similar? Sure. But like, I also wanted a matching set, and I wanted something of that own. So like, things I spend money on nowadays is different than, like, I don't know. So like, I don't worry too much about the money I spend because I save somewhere between 60 and 75% of my income now. Before I was saving like 50%, but now it's probably closer to 70, 75%. So like, if I want to go treat myself, I go treat myself, because it's no, I mean, money wise, I have no debt but my house. I'm paying things off. So like, all those whips and chains. Would I recommend this? I'd tell you to go get that hot tub before I tell you to get the massage chair. And I tell you to get this foot massager before I tell you to get the massage chair. Will I? Here's the real question. Will I move it with me? I don't think so. I don't like it enough. Honestly, I think I'm probably more interested in buying. Link to what brand is it? God, I don't know. It's the Renfo. Let me see if I can find an Amazon share it. This thing's fire though. I have it under the desk, man. My mom got me and my brother. He returned his because he wanted to get like a pair of boots or something. He needed more practical shit. All right, this one's white, but mine's gray, but it looks to be the same. Sure. 1 second, I'm getting an affiliate link. You know, listen, y'all gonna ask? I gotta come up. All right, making me Google search this shit. All right, there you go. Post it in chat. I'll pin it. Have I bought any Tesla shares? No, man. Tesla's too hot for my blood, dude. Yeah, yeah, put it right under your desk, dude. Like, I got it going on right now. It has 15, 30-minute cycles. It has like these little balls that move around, and it has airbags. It's fantastic, man. It's definitely worth. Like, I would spend the $140 if I tried it. I'd be like, oh, this is great. Compression sucks really helps. Dude, you shouldn't be doing code binges for 34 hours. That's it. That's some young man shit. I can't do that no more. But yeah, was it worth the money? It's all right. Honestly, I would rather, I think, at some point when I'm like settled somewhere, buy like a $5,000 or $10,000 one, like just a legit, like, because I like massage chairs, but I would like for it to be just super legit. Like when I'm not gonna buy that anytime soon. But just one of those items where it's like, okay, I'm gonna use this for the next 10 years. Should be credit card free this spring? Yeah, for sure, man. What's the most you've ever spent on a meal? Probably like 300. Yeah, that sounds about right. About $300. That's what for two people though, like $150 a person. Individually, 200. When I went to Kansas City, I had my buddies go with me to fine dining. It was like a 7 or 8 course meal. They were so nervous, dude. They were so nervous. This is like something I like to do when I go out of town. I get pizza and I get fine dining if I can. And they were so nervous being in like this fancy pants restaurant. I was like, dude, relax, man. They're gonna bring us some meals. They're gonna tell us what it is. We're gonna try it. Some of it's gonna be good. It's all gonna look pretty. Some of it's gonna be bad, and we're gonna pay an absorbent amount of money for it, and we're never gonna eat something like it again. They're gonna treat us nice. They're gonna take our money, and they're gonna be happy that we're here. They were so nervous though. It cracked me up. Sharp, I highly recommend getting. So the reason you want to get debt free, as again, not a financial advisor, just for entertainment purposes, in my personal opinion, is that when you then go and invest, you're not going to be as worried if it goes up or down. A lot of people sell at a loss. They buy high, sell low because they can't handle it going down and they're afraid it's going to keep going down. So, like, if you bought Tesla right now, it very well could drop 30, 40, 60% in the next year and still be up a ridiculous amount from the previous year, but depending on where you bought it. And if you have credit card debt and you have debt that you may not be able to handle that mentally. So I think you're doing the right thing, man. I couldn't tell you how to get new contracts. Contracts would come to me nowadays. Amazon supplements? No, I don't have any advice. I've been staying away from supplements. Supplements increase your chance of kidney stones by 50%, my buddy told me. He found that out. I'm not trying to have kidney stones. I'm good on that. My personal opinion is I invest. So I buy a couple of individual stocks and I buy I can tell you what my breakdown is right now. Let's see here. Dude, my buddy Ricky, man, he had kidney stones. And he's like, dude, I had kidney stones before, but never so many. I feel so much worse physically. Then found out I've been staying away from energy drinks. I know, man. I'm trying to do better. He then found out that he had COVID. So he had kidney stones and COVID at the same time. And then while all this is going on, by the way, he lives alone and it's just him. His cat unfortunately passed away. It was like the week from hell, man. I felt for this guy. Okay. So generally speaking, excuse me, I have roughly 1/3, probably 40% of my I have 40% of my stocks in index funds and 60% in individual companies. But I don't have any high risk individual companies except maybe Airbnb and Uber. And I bought another one that I might have some high risk in is some cruise line stocks. I bought it way at the bottom. It's been a good year though. I am up for the year 32%. So no complaints. Kidney stones and hemorrhoids are terrible. I believe it, man. Dude, isn't that just the idea of a kidney stone just a surreal thing that's something that exists? Right now, if I was to tell you what I'd be buying, again, just entertainment, not a financial advisor. What I'd be buying is a S&P 500 ETF. I would buy one share of Uber. I'd be buying one share of Airbnb. I'd probably buy one share of Disney and maybe one more tech company, but the majority of it would now go into S&P 500. QQQ. You know, I've stayed away from those highly, tech focused ones. Perhaps I shouldn't have though. QQ. What's my opinion on Dave Ramsey? I generally agree with what his sentiment is. The reason I agree with it is I think it's more practical for most people. In theory, if you look at things as a number, should you not pay your house off? Probably. But in practicality, it lowers your risk, lowers your stress, and it puts you in a situation where you owe money instead of making money. And there's actual gains and realized gains, right? So like in theory, you could realize a gain after you can have like, oh, I'll make an extra 6%. But after capital gains, maybe you're down to 3% difference. That's still a lot, every 100,000, $3,000. For $3,000, I'd rather, for every 100,000, I'd rather have a lower risk tolerance. And that's why he's so strict on I agree with pretty much everything Dave says. I still have credit cards. I have one credit card. I've never paid interest on it, but that's not like most people. So I don't know, Michael. Just try it, apply and see what happens. That's the worst thing you do. You waste 10 minutes on an app. Yeah. So I have a credit card, but my credit card's balance is 1 week's of pay. And it's not to say it's not a lot. It's it's a lot of money. But I pay off my monthly balance every month. I usually pay it off twice a month, actually. Yeah, I use autopay. I have autopay set up, but I manually do it. What card do I recommend? Oh my god. I don't recommend you get a credit card because most people mess it up. But the card that I get, again, not a financial advisor, just what I use, is the Citi 2% cashback card. And you get 1% when you spend, and you get 1% when you pay it off. So you get 2% off everything. I'm not juggling points or anything like that, and I can just get that. I think Connor's going to win the fight. But I don't think a lot. So this is why it goes back I don't think in principle a lot of people can stick to it. I'm very money focused. I'm very financially focused. So like I have no problem sticking to it. But I don't think a lot of people will. I think a lot of people are going to pay a lot of interest. So but anyway, guys, we've been going about an hour. Look forward to the podcast episode coming out tomorrow, as well as some videos, all that good stuff. I'll see you next time. Links to my courses down below. I appreciate y'all.